Welcome to Cook 30. I'm Jeremy Dixon from the Revive Cafes in Auckland, New Zealand, and also wrote the Revive Cafe cookbooks. And today I'm going to share with you a delicious cafe-style meal that you can enjoy at home. Cook 30 food is all about using whole food ingredients. We're going to be using plant-based proteins, whole grains, fresh fruit and vegetables, and wrapping them all together with delicious international herbs and spices. And the best part, it will not take you hours slaving away in the kitchen to make it. I'm going to show you in the next 30 minutes how you can make a delicious meal for your family. On the menu today we have Zoodles, which are raw zucchini noodles. We're going to smother it with pan-fried vegetables in a lovely creamy Alfredo sauce. We have Parmeshew cheese, which is a great healthy parmesan cheese alternative. We have a carrot and parsnip smash. And to finish off, a lovely sweet Kiwi-Banana-GInger smoothie. Let's crack into it. But making meals in a very short time does not happen by accident. You need to be really prepared ahead of time. And time spent planning can save a lot of time later. We've got a nice clear workbench here, chopping board, sharp knife. We've got our pans on the stove ready to go. The water is in the kettle and it's boiled. And we've got all the ingredients we need and we're ready to start. So first job is something you want to start with the jobs that are going to take the longest. So we're going to make the carrot and parsnip smash. We're going to start it anyway. So I've got some lovely carrots and parsnips here. Now these are nice, good quality, so we're not going to bother peeling them. You do not have to peel every vegetable that comes into your kitchen, so I avoid it generally. So we're just going to chop it up into kind of just sizes of stuff that's going to cook easily. So just any way you want to, just chop it up. Because we're going to be mashing it later, so it doesn't have to be artistically chopped or anything, but it just helps it cook. So parsnips and carrots go really well together, and this makes a lovely way to have some fresh vegetables. That's the parsnip, and the carrots will do the same. So one around there, I've got 4 carrots and 3 parsnips. You can also make this recipe with pumpkin or squash or other things as well. I'm just going to economise on my cuts here. You don't have to cut every carrot individually. I'm just going to pull the ends off. Oop, they're escaping. Come on, guys. And we're going to put it in this pot. And we're just going to boil it with some boiling water. Get all these in here. So this will probably take around about 15 to 20 minutes to cook through until they're nice and soft. Now we're not going to cook them totally right through, but just enough so they're soft enough to mash. You kind of want a little bit of texture remaining. Boiled this water shortly before, so we've saved some time by having pre-boiled water. So often the first thing you want to do when you get home from work, put the jug on, get some water boiling, because you're going to need it later. I'm going to put that on full, and as soon as that starts to bubble and boil, we're going to turn it down to low. So it just kind of keeps simmering there and gets those vegetables nice and soft. This Alfredo sauce is really, really nice. And it's going to go with these lovely vegetables. And we've got these great colours here. We've got purple, red, yellow, orange and green. So colour, if there's one thing you can leave from today is use lots of colour in your cooking. So I'm just going to put this pan on, nice non-stick pan. I'm going to put a touch of oil in here. Just a little bit, just to help it not stick and cook evenly. And we're going to just make lots of chunky vegetables to go with the sauce. So we're probably doing 1 centimetre or 1/2 inch cuts. Just like that, little cubes. We want to be able to see the definition of this onion in the finished product, so we don't want to cook it too much or make it too small. Of course, anything you're kind of putting in a pan, you generally want to have some garlic. So we'll put in 2 cloves of garlic. And the easiest way with the garlic is just put it straight in the garlic press, without the leaves, and just squeeze it through like that. Look at that. And within seconds you've got this beautiful garlicky, oniony smell happening, so it's always a good start for any dish. Okay, let's put some of these colours in. Now I'm purposely doing the onion first because that's going to take the longest to cook. Get rid of these seeds. So when you're prepping these type of things, it's quite nice to get rid of all of the items that you don't want, all the stuff you want to put in the bin. Arrange it on one side of the board, and then you can then go through and cut all of it. Oops, got a few seeds left there. Having a few seeds is not the end of the world, so just get all these seeds out. And now we can just chop them up. Oop, got a bit of some blackness there, so I'll just get rid of that. It's quite interesting in kitchen land, which I learned very, very quickly in my cafes, is the importance of preparation. I mean, we make all our salads fresh every day, but the work actually starts the day before. So my staff start about 10 a.m. in the morning after they finish that day's work. They start prepping up all the salad ingredients for the next day. So they'll be peeling pumpkins, chopping potatoes, grating coleslaw ingredients, making dressings and sauces. And when they leave at the end of the day, they come in the next day and all of their stuff is all the hard work's already been done. So everything's in the fridge, so they pull it out, they get all the roasted vegetables, or the ones that aren't roasted, put it in the oven and get them underway roasting. And then making salads is easy. All they're doing is pretty much pouring all these different ingredients into this nice big bucket, mixing all up and making salads. So preparation is probably the most important part. If they turned up at 6 in the morning and nothing was done, it would take them a long time to get all the salads done. So when you're cooking ahead of time, think of what you can do. And things like chickpeas, cooking and soaking chickpeas. If you're planning the night before, you can soak off your chickpeas. You can get something cut. So basically the old saying, 1 minute in planning saves 10 minutes in execution is so true, I think, in many parts of life as well in cafe land. So there's a little kind of cooking tip for the day. So these capsicum or bell pepper, whatever you call them in your country, look at that colour, that's just going to be beautiful. So the onions first, because that needs the most cooking. And the asparagus I'm doing last because that's going to need the least cooking. So with asparagus, and if you don't have asparagus, you can use another green vegetable. It depends on what season it is. I'm not using zucchini. I would often use zucchini or courgettes in this kind of a dish, but because we're using zucchini as the zoodles, I don't want to double up on those things. So just chop them in half, break them in half, or into the quarter, and the woody end, which you don't really want to have, will break off. So we want to keep the long kind of nature of the asparagus, so we're just going to chop it into kind of finger-sized lengths. This will just take about 5, maybe 10 minutes just to cook around, and you want it to be soft. You don't want it to be all, you want to be soft but crunchy, so just on that edge. Look at those colours. We've got some mushrooms here as well, and these all cook nicely, so we're just going to just probably about that many mushrooms, I think. And I'm just going to put them into, just do them into quarters, so they kind of stick with that chunky kind of style of this dish. If you're going to slice them, they'd probably dissolve into not much. So we still want the mushrooms to have some shape, because mushrooms, believe it or not, are actually full of water, full of moisture, and you want to cook some of that off so they become nice and soft. There you go. Doesn't that look beautiful? So we've got it on relatively high. I might just turn it down a little bit and give that about 5 more minutes. So our next job is the exciting part. Now, I'm not a big fan of having a kitchen full of endless gadgets and trinkets and things. I quite like keeping things simple with a knife and a board and a food processor and a blender. But there's one little machine I've discovered lately you may be aware of, and that is a spiralizer. Now, these things are relatively inexpensive. I think they're around about $30 each. And they are really cool. They make these really nice textures out of vegetables that you can't produce with a knife. So if there's one little gadget I can recommend you buy, it's a spiralizer. So we're going to make zoodles, which are zucchini noodles, and we're just going to put it into this bowl here. And this little machine makes noodles, raw noodles. So what we do is just push that in one end, push that in the other end, make sure you've lined it up relatively well, and just you put the blade on, and the blade has got a slicing component and a component that makes into noodles, and you just basically turn it like this. And out the end comes this amazing noodly shaped zucchini pieces, which are just gorgeous. I mean, look at that. So this is basically like a noodle that's raw, and there are a lot of raw restaurants around and raw cookbooks that use this type of machine to do their dishes. So I've got on the finest setting. You can have a slightly thicker blade. So it's just, and within a very short time, you can get quite a large amount of zoodles out. I'll just get rid of these bits here and start another one. And 3 of them should probably be enough. So just again chop off the ends, make sure it's nice and even. Whoop, this one's too big. I've had that happen before. Oops, oh no it wasn't. Put it in and give it another wind. Look at that beautiful texture. You can do this with butternut pumpkin, you can use carrots, you can use cucumber, so there's all these great cuts you can do. So look at that, beautiful noodly shaped texture that's fresh and raw and lovely. And it's going to soak up our the flavours of the Alfredo really, really nicely. So let's put some flavour with the noodles. So we could just serve them just like that, but just a little bit of flavour is really going to be nice. So I'm just going to make just a little dressing to go over them. And we're going to use a little bit of chilli paste. You can leave that out if you don't like hot stuff, or you could use fresh chilies if you wanted. I'm going to use the juice of a lemon. Just going to squeeze it through my fingers. Like that. Just a touch of honey and just a touch of salt. Just going to stir that around. And I'm going to just put that over there like that. Oh, sorry, a little bit of olive oil as well. So I'll just mix that in, that'll be fine. Just a touch. Don't need much, it's just to give it a little bit of flavour. Just to kind of shout out, I'm not quite 100% flavourless, it just kind of just boosts that lovely raw flavour. And again, you can leave it out if you want. And because we're serving this on the table with something else, I'm just going to add a little bit of colour to it. So I'm just going to put just a couple of cherry tomatoes, just to, whoops, lost one of those there, just to make it look a little bit special. These guys are going everywhere. So I'm just going to halve these, perhaps quarter the bigger ones. Just to look a little bit nice and cared for. And it's really nice when you can buy cherry tomatoes that are different colours. And just before serving, I'll throw a bit of Italian parsley over, just to give it a bit of extra, greenness. When you're garnishing, you kind of want to make sure gravity does its work. You want to just kind of drop things in. And it's quite nice to cluster things in the middle of a dish, and a few little things sprinkled around the side. So that is ready to go. So let's see how these vegetables are going. They're coming along nicely, caramelising. Whoops, lost a bit of onion there. So I think these are nearly, they're kind of caramelising a bit on the bottom. So I'm just going to turn that down. They're pretty much almost done. And as you can see, they're still whole, they've still got crunch to them, but they've cooked as well. So it's kind of getting that really fine line between being raw and being too soggy. So that's just about ready to go. So let's make the Alfredo sauce. So we're going to use our friend the blender. And this is a tofu-based sauce. You probably wouldn't guess it, so don't tell anyone if they don't like tofu, but it actually tastes really lovely. So I'm just going to get the moisture out of our tofu and put it in the blender. So we need around about 300 grams. This pack is around about 500, so we're just going to use about that much. That should be enough. We're going to throw in some soy milk, or you could use any milk you want, so around about a cup. Whoops. Helps if you take the lid off. That's around about a cup. And nutritional yeast flax is what gives this its kind of really nice cheesy flavour. So that you can buy these in most health stores. So we're going to use 2 tablespoons. 1, 2. Going to add just a touch of salt. And a little bit of honey for sweetening. And we're going to add some garlic as well. So I'll throw in 2 cloves of garlic. Same garlic press. Squeeze it through. Whoops, that went everywhere. And this is really nice with a bit of a squeeze of ginger. So we'll just put probably a tablespoon of ginger puree. You can put some whole ginger in if you wanted. And this is the dressing. So we're just going to blend it up. Won't take long. And just a nice consistency there. And what we're going to do is just pour it over these vegetables. So these are cooked. You want to make sure they're soft and ready to go, because once you add the dressing, you're not going to have a lot of cooking ability once you've got the creaminess. Once you've kind of added your creaminess to a dish, you don't want to add any more, you don't want to really cook it much. So we'll throw that on. And we'll just let this basically cook a little bit, just to warm up. But effectively, it is all done. So look at that, you know that's going to taste good. It's nice and creamy, nice and thick. And because you've got the nutritional yeast flakes in there, it kind of masks that kind of soy flavour of the tofu, so it ends up being a nice sauce. So we'll basically serve it on the table like this, with a bit of a garnish, and pour that over. People can kind of pour it over their zoodles, depending on how much they want. Looking lovely. If you just joined us on Cook 30, we are making Zoodles, which are raw zucchini noodles. We're going to smother it with pan-fried vegetables in a lovely creamy Alfredo sauce. We also have Parmeshew cheese, which is a great Parmesan cheese alternative, and a carrot and parsnip smash. And to finish off, something sweet, a Kiwi-Banana-GInger smoothie. This Parmeshew cheese is a really nice addition to anything pasta or any kind of thing saucy, and it's just really healthy. So the recipe for this is very variable, but I generally do 1 cup of cashew nuts. You can do raw or roasted if you want, and 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast flakes, which has a nice salty kind of a flavour. And we're just going to blend it very, very quickly. That's all we need, just enough to get it going. And you've got this really nice, fine, generally, textured, with a few bit of crunchy bits in there, this nice kind of lovely cashew nutritional yeast dust. There you go. It's quite nice having a few little chunky bits in there to make it interesting, or you could blend it slightly more and not have that. So we're going to have that on the table. Oops, something's jumped in there. To sprinkle over our meal. Another job done. So next we want to do the smash. So I think these are ready. So I'm just going to have a look at these. Yep, they're nice and soft. The parsnip is. The carrot is a little bit not 100% soft, but it'll be fine. It's quite nice to have everything not entirely cooked to death. So we're just going to drain this in the sink and get the water out. So get most of it out. And to save on dishes, we're going to mix this in this pot that we've actually cooked it in. There we go. So we're going to add half a cup of milk of your choice. I'm using soy milk here. We're going to be adding some teaspoon of nutmeg. This just gives it a lovely little bit of flavour. About half a teaspoon of salt. And the good ingredient to make it lovely and colourful is some Italian parsley. So I keep it in my fridge in these lovely wet paper towels. It's a lovely way of keeping your herbs. So I'm going to slice them off the top, which are reasonably big. And I'm going to use this for garnish later. That's kind of the best part of the herb. And the rest of it I'm just going to slice relatively finely and mix that through. And that'll give it a really fresh flavour. Just get any kind of a potato masher, and we're just going to mash this all up so it becomes a nice smash. Now we don't want this to be 100% pureed mush. We want to basically, it's kind of a smash, not a mash. So we want to have a few chunky bits. So don't be scared to leave a few bits of kind of half mashed carrot in there. So that's probably kind of the texture we want. But you want it enough so it is kind of having a nice soft texture. I can smell the nutmeg with that hot vegetable. It's really nice. You could add a little bit of olive oil if you wanted to, but I think it's nice to have something that isn't too oily. And we're just going to pop it out into this dish here, ready to serve. So try and let gravity take its course when you're getting things out. Just align it a bit so it looks a little bit natural, just like that. And this garnish on top, and that is ready for the table. While we're here, we've got some parsley. We'll throw some on the Zoodles just to give it a bit of extra herbage as well. For the smoothie, I'm going to make it just a little bit extra special, and I'm going to make my own almond milk. So you could use your normal milk that you use, like soy milk, rice milk, oat milk, hemp milk. There's so many amazing milks around these days, but it's quite fun to make your own milks. So I'm just going to add around about 1/4 of a cup of almonds and about just over a cup of water. I'm going to start off with a low amount, just so it doesn't splatter too much. And doing that, just add some more. So you're probably looking about one and a bit cups of water. That just makes the when you make your own milk, it's just more exciting, more homemade. I'm also going to use frozen bananas. So ahead of time I've frozen some bananas, so make sure you have bananas left over, put them in the freezer. They're great for smoothies. So the almond milk's looking good, look at that, it's just like a milk. If you're going to use it as a milk, you might want to strain it, but for a smoothie it's going to be perfectly okay. Now kiwi, or kiwi fruit where I come from, is the kind of the feature ingredient. So we need to make sure we peel these guys. If you get a little bit of the skin in, it's not the end of the world, but you want to make sure you're getting most of it off. So I'm going to use 4 kiwi fruit. And then we're going to put these in the blender. You always want to put your soft ingredients at the bottom because that's what's going to help the blades get going. If you put your hard ingredients in the bottom, the blades can struggle to get going sometimes. So basically just throw in this lovely frozen banana. And when you're using smoothies, you kind of want to have one frozen component. If you're putting frozen berries in, you want to use normal bananas. But if you're using soft ingredients like kiwi, you want to use frozen bananas. We're going to throw in a little bit of honey and just about a tablespoon, just to give it a little bit of sweetness. And some ginger. And this is going to give it a lovely extra burst. So we're going to put in some fresh ginger. You could use ginger puree if you want, but this one you kind of want to put some of this in. And you want to kind of just chop it up just a little bit fine, just to help the blender and minimise the chances of having any ginger pieces in it. So you want to make sure it gets blended up. So we'll fire that in as well. And we're going to blend. It'll start to turn a bit of a green colour. While that's going, I'm going to plate up this. This lovely Alfredo sauce. Look how creamy that is. So we're just going to put this into this dish. Lovely. those vegetables are nicely cooked, nice and soft, but they still have a little bit of shape to them. And the nice herb to do this with these guys is chives. So let's chop some of these off, just chop the ends. And we'll do kind of, 1 centimetre, ½ inch size garnishes like that. And that's looking great. That smoothie's finished. And we can just pour it into the glasses and they are ready for the table. These will taste amazing. And you've made it with your own almond milk. If you want to have more energy and vitality in your life and probably live quite a few years longer as well, make sure you use some of these healthful whole food ingredients. They really do make a difference in your life and your overall health. Thank you for joining me today on Cook 30. It's been great to share with you some more dishes. I hope you can try them at home and I look forward to seeing you next time.